Good evening. You're joining the State of Business. I'm Nishani Pigara. Let's first take a look at tonight's top stories. No confidence motion against Rajat Senaratne. And EPF not affected by New Inland Revenue Act. In tonight's headline story, a no confidence motion against Health Minister Dr. Rajat Senaratne was submitted to the Speaker of Parliament, Karu Jayasuriya, this afternoon. The motion was handed over to the Speaker by a group of joint opposition members. Earlier today, during a media conference held at Parliament, the leader of the joint opposition, Dinesh Gunawardena, disclosed to the media that they are submitting the motion over several allegations of corruption against a minister.
We have also, the joint opposition, have started signing up in a matter of few minutes. Our no confidence motion against the Minister of Health will be handed in to the Speaker. We have lost faith in the Honourable Minister. The country is critical of the Honourable Minister, and the Parliament has lost faith. And we would request the Honourable Speaker to give us the earliest possible date for the debate.
State Minister of Finance Eran Wickramaratne, addressing the media today, said no changes will be made in the system of taxation, in share transaction levies and the Employees Provident Fund. He also noted that the Inland Revenue Act aims to simplify and broad-base the current tax system.
There is no change to how the taxes are going to be levied on stock market transactions. It's going to be the same manner in which it is done today. Only tax on stock market transactions as of today is the stock transaction levy, the STL. That STL will remain. Share transaction levy will remain. But there is no change in the way it is going to be computed. The principle is, right, rather than to keep taxing those who are already being taxed, that we have to widen, right, those who are basically, we have to broad base those who are paying tax. Given our level of GDP and per capita income, right, we probably have to have maybe 4 to 5 times of taxpayers than we already have. In terms of everybody, the principle is everybody who receives an income should be paying taxes, which is a national contribution. As a part of that reform, we have been able to raise government revenue from very low, dangerous level of about 11.5% of GDP to about 14.5% of GDP within this short period. Government revenue is absolutely essential to keep social stability going, to maintain law and order, to provide the basics which the population expects in education, in health and in social services.
Speaking further, the State Minister also noted that the government is currently working on several agreements in order to improve the export sector of the country.
We have also, in an attempt to increase our exports, which had fallen drastically over the last decade and a half, from about 34% of GDP to about 14-15% of GDP, we have took a decision right at the outset that the Sri Lankan exchange rate should reflect market forces. When we initially did that, naturally the exchange rate, right, not unexpectedly, would depreciate. But now we have a more stable environment. The reserves in the country have gone up from about $5 billion to $7 billion. We have concluded our agreements on the Hambantota project, and this is just on the harbour project, in which we expect this year another $400 million. And we will then expect in the next year, right, we will expect another $600-700 million just on that. There'll also be a further investment, about $600 million, in making that harbour more commercial. It's not just the harbour. There will also be other businesses that will be coming into the industrial zone, and new investments will come over the next 24 months. And therefore, that is investment which will change the economic scenario in the south of the country.
The State of Business will return with more news after this short break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching The State of Business. The Executive Committee of the Bar Association, addressing the media in Colombo today, condemned the recent statement made by Deputy Minister Ranjan Ramanayake on the legal community. The bar demanded that the Deputy Minister should complain against any corrupt persons to the relevant authorities and take required action as opposed to making generalised statements accusing the judiciary system as a whole. In a statement to Art Television today, Deputy President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, MUM Ali Sabri, stated that the Bar Association would institute contempt of court proceedings against the Deputy Minister at the Supreme Court.
Bar Association of Sri Lanka, at its executive committee meeting, which was an emergency one held yesterday, decided that we should vehemently condemn the purported statement and the remarks made by Mr. Ranjan Ramanayake, Deputy Minister, regarding the judiciary, judges and the lawyers. In those remarks, in our opinion, is totally unwarranted and uncalled for. By that remark, he had called the majority of the judges and the lawyers are corrupt. So we demand him, if he has evidence of corruption against the lawyers, the judges, he must go before the law enforcement authority, lodge a complaint and bring them before the court. Generalizing the whole situation, in our opinion, had been done to undermine the rule of law and the independence of the judiciary. Such kind of unwarranted interference into the affairs of the judiciary and to the law enforcement process cannot be tolerated without any foundation and or any reasons. In the circumstances, the bar also decided that we will institute contempt of court proceeding against the Deputy Minister and ask him to be called before the Supreme Court to answer those allegations in general.
Stocks closed on a negative note today. Let's take a look at the details after this break. Welcome back to the show. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The oil share price index dropped by 0.73 points to close the session at 6,382.54, while the S&P SL20 index dropped by 5.5 points to close the session at 3,658.15. Turnover was 476 million rupees and 25.7 million shares were traded. Up next are the day's forex rates. And that's all the news we have for you tonight. Do join us again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening.